Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Thank you for all the feedback on the man versus bear segment that happened last week. That was a debate that's been happening online, raging online, how men are worse than bears. I get it. I'm the most evil thing God's ever created. Fine. But in the wake of that, there was another similar sort of branch in this tree, and look, there's all kinds of debates happening. I just happen to be the most hated person in modern society. Straight, white, Christian male. Nothing worse than that. There's no month for me. There's no day for me. There's no groups for me. There's no special place I can go on campus. And everyone loves to get on TikTok or whatever your social media platform of choice is and talk about how scary and awful I am. I get it. I'm used to it. Doesn't hurt my feelings, okay? So that's not where I'm going on this one, but you got to hear this. There's a guy in Texas, one of our neighbors, a fellow Texan, probably a great guy. He happens to look like Boy George in 1984, and I just say that because he's wearing like the flat brim cap, and you remember in Karma Chameleon how he has the makeup on. That's how he's walking around when he's doing this TikTok. But he doesn't think very highly of Texans, and more specifically rural Texans. And it's like, damn, how much do I get slandered in all of these online debates? Check this out.
A little bit of a rant here, because you know what sucks? It was recently Mother's Day, and my mother is one of the sweetest, kindest, and most supportive and accepting people I've ever met and I've ever known. And I love her greatly. As I've become an adult, she and I have become closer than ever because of some shared experiences in life. But I live in Texas. Now, I live in a very liberal and accepting part of Texas, and I am very lucky to do so. Where I grew up, where my mom lives, is nothing like that. So, guess who did not get to go home and visit their mother for Mother's Day? Me. I had to settle for calling her. Now, we talked for a good hour, but we caught up. But this sucks. That I don't feel safe going back to visit my mom. No matter how much I feel like I pass or do not pass, it doesn't matter. There's a fear there now. And that's not cool.
No, I tell you what's not cool is constantly being slandered as if straight, white, Christian, rural Texas is really some cauldron of hate, like really dangerous. I feel sorry for this guy. This is what you think of your neighbors. This is what you think goes on in Buck Tussle. This is what thinks happens if you go outside of your little liberal enclave. You act like if you're out in the middle of nowhere and not in a major metropolitan area, if you go out into the middle of nowhere and someone just sees you running around looking like Boy George, we're going to get so inflamed with Christian rage that we're going to run over you with our car. Then we're going to back over you to make sure you're dead. And then when we get out, we're going to straddle over you. We're going to pick up your carcass. We're going to kiss you on the mouth. And then we're going to stab you 9 times. I mean, is that what you think happens? Is that what you think happens if a trans person is in rural Texas? Well, what happens if just a regular white guy is in urban Texas? Let's ask ABC 13 down in Houston.
Only on 13, deeply disturbing and shocking video of a murder in broad daylight. On May 3rd, the victim, Stephen Anderson, is walking on Woodridge Square Drive to pick up his mail, sources tell us. He turns around at the sound of a screeching car speeding right into him. We're pausing the video right before he gets hit. The car reverses and hits him again, pushing him further into the street. Neighbors are on the phone, frantically calling 911.
Other people to help me turn him over. They want us to turn him over.
Another neighbor comes out with a pillow. And that's when the suspect, Karen Fisher, identified in court records as a man, but also described as she by police, returns with a knife in hand. The suspect yanks and flips Anderson over, straddles him, and kisses him. We're not showing what happens next because it's too graphic, but that's when police say Fisher stabs him 9 times. She casually walks off as if nothing happened and neighbors just watch. She then tries getting into another car while talking to witnesses. When that's unsuccessful, she leaps over the body and walks away.
It's very disturbing, because, I have kids here. So our kids could have been out here playing, and imagine that.
20-year-old Karen Fisher is in jail tonight, charged with murdering the 64-year-old. Her bond is set at $2 million.
Words. You want to go through the one word that was not used in that report? No variation on trans. There was no trans, transgender, trans woman. There was no LGBTQ plus IA, any of that. None of that. None of that was in the report. Huh. That's interesting. Because in these other stories, like it was just a couple months ago, where the poor kid died in Oklahoma, and they're like, well, that was a trans kid that was beat up in the bathroom before, so they were murdered by trans hate. No, it turns out it was just an OD, and then the story got dropped because it didn't fit the narrative anymore. Imagine if the guy was wearing a MAGA hat. By the way, another thing they don't tell you is the race of the people involved. The man that drove the car ran over the trans woman. Black, victim white. Does it matter? No, not really, but they love to bring it up in these other cases where it doesn't seem to matter. You think they just left that out of any of the George Floyd reporting? But imagine if a guy in a MAGA hat did that. Imagine if a guy who's not LARPing as the opposite sex did that to what this other trans guy was worried about. If this was rural Texas and someone did that to a trans person, you think that would be a news story outside of just the local TV market? You think there might be some, national coverage of it? They might even block highways for that. And I know you remember it was just back in February when that trans illegal immigrant Palestinian supporter tried to shoot up Joel Osteen's church. That would have been another mass shooting. That would have been a mass casualty event had not the Texans at church shot back. Forgot about that though, right? Remember? That was the LGBTQ thing where they just kind of left it out of there. In fact, a legal immigrant from El Salvador had a criminal history going back 15-something years. Also a Bernie Sanders supporter with the Free Palestine sticker on her gun, identified as transgender. So where's this person in the original clip? Where do they get the idea that in the world of trans violence that it's happening in rural America? Trans violence is happening in urban America almost exclusively. If you go try and look up this story about this Houston murder that just happened this week, you'll find reports about some other trans that have been killed in Houston. But they were in Houston, you understand. They weren't out in some red county. They weren't out in Bug Tussle, where I'm from. It's like zero trans people are getting killed. I don't want to say statistically it's probably more than zero, but that's not where the problem's happening. That's not where most of them occur. It's not where the majority of them occur. That's not even where it's most likely to occur. But we also have, you remember how so many of these other shooters have been trans activists. Have you seen the list that gets passed around about just the mass shooters in the last 4 years? Whether it was the Nashville shooter, that was a trans, Colorado Springs shooter's trans, Denver shooter was trans, Aberdeen shooter was trans, the Joel Osteen church shooter, trans. But you know what you're supposed to look out for? Men, because we're worse than bears. Remember how we're worse than bears? Yeah, look out for us. Mm-hmm. Did you even hear that story? Didn't you think that'd be a bigger deal? You feel like that maybe should be getting some sort of attention? No. It's not trans people that need to be scared of rural Texans and everyday guys just going on about their business. It sounds kind of the opposite. Sounds like more of the violence is going the other way. And that's just sad, because the reality is in Bug Tussle, Boy George, we don't hate you. You're safe if you go out there. You're safer out there with us in Bug Tussle than you are in the city. The terrible part is you've been so scared and trained to be scared, because it's not based on actual evidence. You've been so trained to be scared of evil, hateful red state America that you're actually forcing yourself to stay in the more dangerous situation. Hyper urban blue centers. And it's just, you got it absolutely backwards, sir. Ma'am, whatever you want to be called. We don't hate you. We're not violent. We're not going to run over you with our car. We just, we do find it. I wonder if this guy, does he know about the murder that happened in Houston? because he did this yesterday, and the murder that happened in Houston was like before that. No, his social media feed doesn't tell him that. His friends don't tell him that. His media doesn't tell him that. I don't think the Huffington Post is going to pick this up. I don't think MSNBC is going to pick this up. You realize what happened? Some guy, some 60-something-year-old dude gets hit with a car, gets backed over. The trans dude gets out, kisses his lifeless body on the mouth, slits his throat, and then gives him another 8 stabs to his lifeless carcass. Runs around, tries to get into another car, doesn't work, hops over the body like a deer trying to run away from the highway, and just lollygags off. It is one of the most evil, sickening, shocking things. I don't want you to go see the video. But if you don't believe me, go see the video. If you think I'm wrong, or if you think I'm just being hateful over it, go see the video then. You tell me. Tell me if this wouldn't be a bigger story if the roles were reversed. Because you damn well know it would. And that's not me condemning the media per se. Media's just, they got their playbook and they're executing it beautifully. Can you just stop hating on me for a second? Can we stop calling me worse than a bear for 5 seconds? Because I'm not doing this. That's been done to us. 800-288-9227. 800-288-WBAP. Your thoughts on the shocking trans murder? It's caught on video. There's a video of it. You think it could go viral just based on that? 800-288-9227. It's the James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.